This is the all-electric and all-new Jeep Avenger. Avengers assemble! Now, not only is the Avenger the first all-electric product for Jeep, it's also the first car to be designed and built entirely in Europe. Now, this car is of course focused on the urban environment, and that's with a European twist, which is why it's got some rugged, tough features to survive tough European life. Although I should say, it does come on all-season tyres, so while it's a front-wheel drive car with a city focus or an urban focus, it still has grippier tyres than you'd expect. But what's really telling is the fact that you've got this extended bumper area which covers all of the car, which extend out beyond the painted bodywork. So if someone, for example, opens their door on your car, it should, in theory, hit this extended bit and prevent the bodywork from getting any damage. Same goes for around the back and at the front as well. Also, this car gets a very different design from other models around, but there are a lot of common features. There are telltale signs of Jeep's history. For example, these squared off arches, which are especially visible at the front. And then you've got this line here, which is linked along with those arches to the original Willis Jeep design. They're linking to Jeep's heritage. You've also got at the front a nice new look with those 7 slats on the grille. Of course, there's no intake for this electric model, but you've still got this distinctive 7-slat design. And then also at the back, you've got the Avenger logo in the taillights. There are also other Easter egg features around the car, which I'll show you in a moment. But first, the specs. Now, much of the platform for this car is shared with the Vauxhall Mokka-e, for example, which comes obviously from the same family, but Jeep has put its own flavor to this vehicle. And when it comes to the stats, well, it's claimed to do around 248 miles between charges, although that is pre-homologation, so that number might vary a little bit. And that's because it has a 54 kilowatt hour battery, 51 of those are usable. It can charge with a 100 kilowatt plug, which is a fast charger, and it will get you from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. That's bang on the money for this class, bang on the money for what most people are expecting these days. Of course, you can use all of the normal charge points with this vehicle, but of course, a lot of people will probably be charging these things at home. With this launch car, a few of the things to talk about: 18-inch wheels up front here, although they don't look very big, do they? But they are 18s. You also get these black mirrors here, and you also get a black roof as well, which I'm told sort of is a nod to more Jeep models again, especially those with removable sections of roof where the top's normally always black. Overall, the design is pretty butch. It certainly looks very different from those siblings from other brands as part of this family, and inside is actually really nice. Have a look. Now, of course, this isn't a hyper luxurious car. This is going to start at about £36,500 in launch edition trim, and then 34k for your more standard models to follow. So when it comes to EVs, this is, not far from the entry range, especially for a car this big. But the interior actually does feel pretty nice. What I've firstly noticed is the fact that despite this being an American brand, because it's been designed in Europe by Europeans, it feels European inside. Many American cars have a big, open, quite airy feel about them. European cars, by contrast, can often feel a bit more snug, almost a bit more cozy, and I think you definitely get that in here. That being said, there is tons of storage space. Now, 34 litres of the car's overall space for storage is actually in these sections here. So you've got loads of room in this front section here, where normally there'd be a transmission tunnel in a petrol car. I see 2 USB ports and a 12-volt plug. There is also wireless phone charging in here. You've got some storage sections up on the top of the dash here, and then even more in here, you've got adjustable cup holders and a bit of storage in this rear section here. So you're not short on space. But overall, actually, in the front is where it feels just, the car kind of shrinks around you. It's quite a tall car, so you've got quite a commanding view. The bonnet as well is quite muscular. So I think buyers who want that SUV feel are really going to like this thing. But also, I get the impression it's going to drive much like a car. Now, talking of drive modes, there are multiple drive modes as you'd expect. Now, this being a Jeep, of course, if I turn it on, you will see that there are drive modes for normal, of course, and then you've got a sport mode, which will no doubt sharpen up the accelerator. Then you also have an eco mode, which of course will slow down the accelerator, make you drive more efficiently. But most importantly, or most interestingly, you've got a sand, a mud, and a snow mode as well. Now, this is front wheel drive, but it does come with all season tires. And of course, this is all going to be about the electronics, making sure it can put the power down as effectively as possible in those conditions. So that's quite unique. And I think it can be useful even for urban buyers. Those days when you wake up and it's snowy outside, that should give you a bit of peace of mind. Of course though, more regularly, this car is likely to be used as a family machine, which means space in the back is crucial. Now, with the seat set ahead as I like it, yeah, there's pretty good space in here actually. I've got good foot space, which means there's room under the seat for me to tuck my feet under. And also the seats are pretty wide, so it's a nice amount of leg room as well. And There's loads and loads of headroom. Now, Jeep is going to offer a panoramic sunroof later on, we're told. So I don't know whether that will change. Sometimes it gives you a bit more room, but even with this standard fit roof, there is loads and loads of space. Taller passengers are going to have no problems whatsoever. And I noticed as well, this middle seat is quite wide as well. So if I smooch over, yeah, that's pretty good. And there's a USB-C charging point in the middle here. So if you want to charge and you've got your mates either side of you, maybe this is the seat to go for. Also, this car has got cloth with leather in it as well, so even in the back here, it still feels quite nice, and there's good visibility, big windows as well, so I think long journeys in the back of this are not going to be a problem whatsoever. Now the boot as well is pretty impressive. You get an electric tailgate on this launch edition car. Apparently you can also open it using your leg. And inside here, you've got 340 litres of space. And some of that is actually under the floor. So it means you can hide your charge cables away under there. And of course, there's a little bit more room down here as well, which is for your tools. But if you wanted to hide stuff, that's pretty good. And otherwise, your boot space is quite wide and there's a nice flat floor to load as well. So you've got heavy stuff to put into here. You've got a protected plastic section here, and then it's not a big drop down to the floor. Everything can sit pretty flat, which is going to be pretty handy if you use this car as intended. In fact, overall, looking at this thing, I think it looks excellent, really suits this shade, and those additional Jeep features, I think they're going to really set it apart from some of its rivals, some of which obviously come from the family this car is part of. But I think also it's the character of this car which might win a few people over, and it's very clear that a little bit of character has been thrown in because you've got some of these Easter eggs around the machine. On the windscreen, you've got a couple of nods to one of the designer's son's favourite hobbies, which is astronomy. Up here, you've got a boy with a telescope looking up at the stars, and actually on the other side of the windscreen you have a constellation of stars as well. Does anyone know what constellation that is? Let us know in the comments below. And of course on the roof you've also got a ladybird symbol, all nods to the off-road mentality of Jeep owners, the adventurous in a Jeep. Oh, and by the way, if you stick to the urban stuff, Jeep reckons you'll get 342 miles of range out of this car, which is going to be very useful. But what do you think? Are you a fan of this Jeep Avenger? I think it's got a lot to like about it, but is it going to be able to compete in this very busy market? Let us know below. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe to our channel. See you soon.